There is no way I can introduce my daughter with disabilities to my new husband. That would be so embarrassing.
As my niece cried and trembled, my sister drove the knife in deeper with her words.
You don't have a place here anymore. Just accept it and let your aunt take you in.
Laughing cruelly, my sister pushed her daughter away as if she were some burden, fully intending to chase happiness for herself alone. Her actions were so disgusting that I felt a surge of rage, as if my blood had begun to flow in reverse. If you don't want her, then I'll gladly take her as my own daughter. And I'll make absolutely sure she finds happiness. One day, my selfish sister will be so jealous of how happy she is, she'll regret everything. I'm Monica, a 30-year-old single freelance writer. I'm an independent spirit, and living as a freelancer, without bosses or corporate nonsense controlling me, this has been the best decision of my life. Because of that, I've never had any interest in getting married. I make enough money to support myself comfortably, and I was living a relatively happy single life, or at least I thought I was. Today, like any other day, I was glued to my computer screen, working on an article I had recently taken on. As I focused, my phone, which was sitting next to my laptop, suddenly vibrated with an incoming call. When the name Rachel popped up on the screen, I couldn't help but mutter, "Oh no." Her again. Like I was picking up something filthy, I hesitantly grabbed my phone. Lately, the one constantly pestering me with calls was my younger sister, Rachel. She's 28 now. 7 years ago, she had a child on her own and has been working hard as a single mother ever since. Or at least, that's what I thought. It turns out she's been living her life in a pretty selfish way. Her daughter, Holly, who is now 7, was diagnosed with a developmental disorder. She's had a tough time fitting in at school, and lately she hasn't even been attending. Desperate for someone to vent to, my sister started calling me every day, dumping all her frustrations about Holly on me. Of course, I had no desire to answer those calls. But if I ignored her, she'd just keep calling over and over, making it impossible for me to focus on work. So with no other choice, I finally picked up. The moment I did, my sister unleashed another rapid-fire rant about Holly. Hey, isn't Holly right there with you? Do you really have to complain so loudly?
It's fine. She's cleaning the bathroom right now. She can't hear a thing.
Oh, she's helping out. That's great.
She doesn't go to school, so it's the least she can do. After she's done with the bathroom, I'll have her clean her room too.
You don't have to pile so much on her. I mean, she's probably already struggling since she doesn't fit in at school. Maybe she should see a counselor or something.
Oh, shut up. I have work, you know. I'm barely holding it together, working my butt off to support the two of us. I don't have time to waste on Holly.
Rachel works at a bar in the neighborhood, mostly at night. No matter the job or the hours, raising a kid on your own while working is impressive. But maybe because she works nights, she never wakes up in the morning, lounges around all day, and never does any housework. The place is always a mess. Sure, Holly might have had trouble fitting in at school, but maybe being in that kind of environment didn't help either. And yet,
I've started making Holly do housework, so I finally have a little more breathing room, but there are still so many things she can't do. She's completely useless.
hey, she's only 7. What are you saying? She might already be emotionally drained, and you're making her do all the housework on top of that.
Just shut up already. You don't even have kids. And besides, the reason Holly can't go to school is because she's just like you.
Excuse me. I was caught off guard by Rachel suddenly blaming me. What the hell is she talking about?
You've always been so selfish and carefree, doing whatever you wanted. Even now, you're just drifting around without getting married or having kids. The more I think about it, the angrier I get. Why should I be the one dealing with the consequences of you being a failure?
Isn't that a bit of a stretch?
No, it's not. If Holly had taken after me, she'd be well-adjusted, responsible, and loved by everyone at school. But because she turned out like you, I ended up as the mother of a kid who won't even go to school. This is the worst.
Rachel was ranting like she had just discovered a new excuse to avoid responsibility. I wanted to call her out that she might have had a kid, but she's still an unmarried mother herself. But saying that would only make things worse. I could handle being falsely accused, but the thought of Holly hearing all this from the other room made my stomach churn. If Rachel was forcing housework on her and making her listen to this kind of cruel talk every day, just imagining it made my chest tighten. Then suddenly, Rachel's tone brightened as she threw out a ridiculous suggestion.
Oh, I know. Monica, why don't you come over for a bit? Keep an eye on Holly. And if you get the chance, try to get her to go to school.
Me?
You're just as selfish and free-spirited as Holly, so maybe you can handle her. I work at night, so mornings are brutal for me. But you're a freelance, right? That means you have a flexible schedule, so you should help out. Right.
Rachel was tossing out her irresponsible ideas like they were brilliant. Just because I'm a freelance doesn't mean I'm not busy. She really only sees things from her own perspective. I was getting more and more worried about Holly, stuck living with a mother like this. Fine. I'll come by and check on her for now. I've been worried about her staying home alone while you're at work anyway.
Okay. Hurry up and get here. Honestly, I've always been annoyed that you get to make easy money without even going to an office. But I guess you're useful in times like this.
Rachel had always been this blunt. I was used to it by now. More than that, I was more concerned about Holly being neglected and burdened with housework. So, I headed straight to Rachel's house. Little did I know that my decision that day would only encourage Rachel's arrogance and set off a chain of events leading to complete disaster.
Oh, finally, you're here. Holly, Aunt Monica's here, so I'm heading out. Have some toast and jam and eat that. Don't even think about leaving the dishes unwashed. And when you're done, gather all the trash in the house and leave it by the front door. Oh, and before you take a bath, clean the toilet too.
The moment I stepped into Rachel and Holly's home, Rachel, while checking her heavy makeup in the mirror, started barking orders at Holly at a rapid pace.
Well, you're saying too much at once. I can't remember all that.
Holly was only 7 years old. Of course, she would react like that. But instead of understanding, Rachel clicked her tongue loudly in irritation.
You're seriously useless. You don't even go to school like you're supposed to. You can't even do housework properly. How much more worthless can you be? Your future's looking pretty damn bleak.
Hey, Rachel, that's way too harsh. You can't expect that level of responsibility from a 7-year-old. As I stepped in to defend Holly, who was already on the verge of tears, Rachel's face twisted into an even more annoyed expression.
Listen, like I told you before, you don't even have kids, so don't act like you know everything. If you feel so bad for her, why don't you help her yourself?
Look, I get that kids should help out a little, but housework is ultimately an adult's responsibility. And if you're really doing everything you can but still need help, you can ask me. But from what I see, Rachel, you're not even doing the laundry, are you? It looks like you're just dumping all the housework on Holly. Holly probably couldn't even reach the bottom of the washing machine, which was why Rachel hadn't made her do laundry. A messy pile of unwashed clothes sat in the corner, likely the ones Rachel and Holly had worn. The dishes stacked on the table were still dirty, and dust had collected in every corner of the room. Rachel wasn't doing anything. She was just making Holly struggle through chores she barely understood. When I pointed it out, Rachel's face turned bright red with rage.
Shut the hell up. I'm out there making money to support Holly, okay? I have to drink with customers, get wasted, and drag myself home. And now you're saying I have to do housework too? That's ridiculous. She doesn't bring in money. She doesn't go to school, so she should be doing everything in the house. Why don't you get that?
Just as I opened my mouth to argue back against Rachel's absurd rant, I suddenly heard a loud crash behind me.
Holly, what the hell did you do? This is the worst.
Sorry, the toaster was too heavy.
I turned around to see the toaster lying on the floor, bread and breadcrumbs scattered everywhere.
You useless brat. Wasting food like this. If it's not cleaned up before I get back, you're in big trouble.
Sorry.
Even though Holly was already crying, Rachel just kept yelling at her with a terrifying expression. Wait, Rachel. She didn't do it on purpose, and you can still shake off the bread and eat it. Besides, maybe cooking is still a bit too hard for Holly. You could just do it yourself or even get food delivered.
Are you seriously telling me to spend more time on Holly? She's the one who's messed up. So why the hell do I have to try harder?
Rachel suddenly shrieked hysterically, making both Holly and me freeze. Seeing our reaction, she scoffed, grabbed her bag, and stormed toward the door.
This is so damn frustrating. Listen up. You better have this mess cleaned up.
With that, she slammed the front door and left for work. I had suspected she wasn't really taking care of Holly, but I didn't think it was this bad. Holly, did someone say anything to Mom?
My teacher called. They talked for a while, and then Mom got really mad and said I didn't have to go to school anymore.
Holly answered while quietly picking up the breadcrumbs. Her teacher had probably called out of concern. And Rachel, just like now, had lost her temper. Watching my little niece wipe her tears with the back of her hand as she picked up the breadcrumbs like it was nothing, I felt my own eyes well up. So, I made toast for her, scrambled the last few eggs in the fridge, and put together a simple meal. As Holly ate, we talked, trying to get a better sense of what was really going on. According to what I learned from Holly, even before she was diagnosed with her disability, she struggled with her appearance and often felt out of place in class. On top of that, her naturally reserved nature made it even harder for her to fit in, leading to a pretty rough time at school. Her teacher, noticing her struggles, managed to call Rachel to the school for a discussion. But Rachel didn't like being given advice and ended up telling Holly she didn't have to go to school anymore. Oh, this is really bad. After making sure Holly took a bath and got ready for bed, I couldn't help but glance around at the messy room, deep in thought. If Holly stayed in this environment, her mental state would only get worse. She was already being deprived of an education. At this rate, she'll never be able to have a job in the future. There was no way I could just sit back and let that happen as her aunt. I decided that I'd step in and support her as much as I could while Rachel was out. Maybe if I took some of the burden off Rachel, she'd have more patience and be a little kinder to her daughter. So, starting the very next day, I began visiting Rachel's house right before she left for work, spending time with Holly. I cooked her meals, did the laundry and cleaning, helped her with her bath, and stayed with her until she fell asleep. Then, while waiting for Rachel to return, I worked on my laptop. It was exhausting, but as Holly started smiling more and more, all my fatigue melted away. And since I kept the place clean, Rachel must have found it easier to live in too. But still.
Do you think Mom's not coming home again today?
I don't know, I've been texting and calling her, but not long after I started taking care of Holly, Rachel stopped coming home even after work. She'd randomly show up once every 2 or 3 days, grab the clothes I had washed and folded, take some makeup, and leave again. Whenever I managed to catch her and ask where she was going, she'd just brush me off with, "Work's been crazy," like some overworked corporate employee. Maybe it's time for me to storm into her workplace and give her a piece of my mind? As I made my half-joking, mostly serious remark, Holly let out a small laugh. And just then, the front door swung open, and a cheerful voice rang out. "I'm home."
Mom, welcome back.
To Holly, Rachel was still her one and only mother. But Rachel barely acknowledged her daughter's excitement. Instead, she casually pulled a beer out of a convenience store bag, popped it open, and chugged it down.
I have some great news for you, too.
Rachel beamed at us, clearly in a celebratory mood, while Holly and I exchanged confused looks. What's with this sudden visit? At least hear our update first. Holly finished all the worksheets her teachers sent over. She's been keeping up with her homework and she's caught up academically, so.
Who cares about that boring stuff? It's not like it matters to me.
Wet. She had been so frustrated about Holly before, and now she just didn't care. Rachel, her lips perfectly coated in bright red lipstick, smiled triumphantly.
I have even bigger news. I'm getting remarried. My partner is one of my bar customers. He's loaded, and he's totally in love with me.
Holly and I just stared at her in disbelief. This was completely out of nowhere, and all I could think was, so this is what she's been doing instead of coming home? Was this really more important than Holly's efforts? I was at my limit with Rachel's selfishness. Getting remarried is fine and all, but what does he think about Holly? Did you even ask her how she feels about it? If not, there's no way I can support this.
What are you even talking about? Of course, I'm not taking Holly with me. That's a given.
Rachel's offhanded remark made the entire room fall silent. I couldn't even react right away. I just couldn't process what she had said. Before I could say anything, Holly spoke up first, her face pale.
Wait, Mom. Are you really getting married and leaving me behind? Why? We're family, aren't we?
Holly's voice trembled as she asked, but Rachel just clicked her tongue in annoyance.
Family? You gave up on school, so what right do you have to talk about family? Do you think I'd embarrass myself by introducing my new husband to a disabled dropout?
No way.
Holly's large eyes filled with despair, and tears began to fall down her cheeks. Seeing that, I couldn't help but lose my temper and shouted, "Hey!" But Rachel, lost in her own little fantasy world, just blinked at me with a clueless expression and said, "What? What's with that dumb look on your face? Is that really something you say to your own child? And by the way, mandatory education means it's the parent's responsibility to make sure their child goes to school. And Holly is a smart girl. If she had gotten the right support, she never would have ended up skipping school. But instead, you just dumped all the blame on her. I can't forgive you for that."
Yeah, whatever. You spent a little time with her, and now you think you know everything about raising kids. But hey, that works for me. I was already thinking of having you take Holly in. You can just keep playing mommy all you want.
Rachel wasn't even fazed by my anger. She just laughed and threw out a ridiculous proposal with that same carefree smirk. I was speechless. Then Rachel turned to Holly, who was still crying, and let out a mocking snort.
So what's it gonna be, Holly? I'm not taking you with me, and I'm canceling this apartment, so you won't have anywhere to go. Either follow Aunt Monica or end up homeless. Your choice.
Unbelievable. Absolutely disgusting. I couldn't believe this woman was my sister. She wasn't just a bad mother. She wasn't even human. Holly must have realized, too, that her mother was truly abandoning her. Her small hands, too tiny for her age, trembled as they grasped the edge of my sleeve.
Aunt Monica, please help me.
Of course, I'll help you. Without hesitation, I pulled Holly into a tight hug. You don't have to worry, Holly. I'm going to make sure you're happy. Hearing my words, Rachel burst into laughter and chugged the rest of her beer.
Good for you. This whole thing feels like a cheap soap opera. But hey, at least everyone's happy, right? Now that we've settled that, make sure to plan your move-out date. I'm leaving this place by the weekend, so Holly needs to be gone by then too.
Forget the weekend. Holly's coming with me today. There's no way I'm leaving her with a toxic mother like you.
Starting your little pretending to be a mother routine already? Just so you know, no refunds if you get tired of it.
Rachel didn't even flinch at my outburst. Instead, she started humming a wedding song to herself while flipping through a bridal magazine she had apparently bought. What a nightmare of a mother. Holly, let's go. I took Holly's hand as she hesitantly looked back at her mother. Then, I gathered up the few belongings she had and left Rachel's apartment, taking Holly home with me. Even as Holly walked out of her life, Rachel didn't even glance our way. Instead, she just laughed, throwing her arms in the air. I'm finally gonna be happy now. Unbelievable. I don't even want to acknowledge someone like that as family. That was not exactly the case for Holly, who was trudging beside me, tears streaming down her face. No matter what kind of person she was, to a 7-year-old, she was still her mother. How deeply must Holly's heart have been wounded, being abandoned like that? It's okay, Holly. I may never be able to replace your mother. With all the love I can give, I'll fill your life with more happiness than the pain you've endured. I will never regret the decision I made that day. I held Holly's small hand tightly, as if sealing my vow to never regret the choice I made that day. 15 years passed in the blink of an eye since that awful day. Holly and I were living a life much happier than I had ever imagined. The first thing I did was plan a move to a rural town where Holly could grow up free and at ease. The countryside we settled in was where my parents, as well as Rachel and I, had our roots, a place I had known well since childhood. By chance, a small old farmhouse had gone up for sale, so I used my savings to buy it and move in with Holly. Since my job only required an internet connection, I had no trouble working remotely. The house had a small vegetable garden, and since I enjoyed working outdoors, I started growing seasonal produce to help with household expenses. And as for Holly, her new school was small, with a relaxed and nurturing atmosphere. Surrounded by friendly classmates, she quickly came to love going to school. After school, she would either run around outside with her friends or help me in the garden. As those peaceful days passed, the emotional scars left by her mother slowly began to heal. Now Holly is 22. She graduated from college this summer and is now working as a freelancer, just like me. Sometimes she has projects that require her to go to New York. When that happens, she drives herself to the station and takes the train into the city. And every time, I can't help but tear up thinking, I can't believe how much she's grown. I'm so happy. At 45, I may seem like a lonely woman with no romantic prospects to the outside world. But there's nothing more precious to me than the joy of living with my wonderful niece. I think that from the bottom of my heart as I harvest another batch of perfectly grown broccoli this year. But our peaceful life was about to be disrupted. One weekend, Holly announced, "I'm taking the day off today," and went to check on our vegetable garden. I decided to take it easy with her.
Monica, the cabbages are full of holes from bugs.
Hearing her call, I stepped outside. Oh wow, they've really been eaten up. And they were just about ready to harvest too. As Holly and I were checking on our garden, we suddenly heard a strangely high-pitched voice calling out from a distance, "Hello."
Holly, it's been so long.
Wait, Mom?
Unbelievably, Rachel, my sister and Holly's biological mother, was walking up the path to our house. For 15 years, she had never once tried to visit Holly, never shown the slightest interest, no matter how many times I updated her.
Holly, I've missed you. I'm here to take back my beloved daughter. Your aunt hasn't been overworking you, has she? You must have been so lonely. Let's go home together.
Rachel, her eyes wide with excitement, rushed toward Holly, practically out of breath. There was a desperate intensity in her voice that didn't seem normal. Feeling a sense of unease, I instinctively stepped between Rachel and Holly. "Is that really all you have to say after showing up out of nowhere? Have you forgotten what you did to Holly 15 years ago?"
A woman who isn't even her mother has no right to butt in. That was ages ago, and it doesn't matter anymore. Listen, I knew that sooner or later you'd get a man and start seeing Holly as a burden, so I came to get her before she gets hurt. Let's go, Holly. Come home with me.
"You've got some nerve." While I stood there, stunned by her audacity, Rachel grabbed Holly's arm and started yanking her toward her. "Hold on a second. Why are you suddenly trying to take Holly back?"
I just told you. I came to get her before you start treating her like an inconvenience.
"Then why didn't you come for her sooner?"
I wanted to, but I had a lot going on.
As Rachel and I argued, Holly suddenly yanked her arm free from her mother's grasp with surprising force.
Stop it. You just want to use me now that I'm famous. I know exactly what you're after.
Well,
Rachel flinched, clearly caught off guard by Holly's accusation. I nodded in agreement with Holly's words. Rachel had no interest in the daughter she abandoned until now.
am I using you? That's ridiculous.
Rachel forced out a nervous laugh, but Holly glared at her coldly. Then Rachel suddenly snapped, like she had nothing left to lose.
I'm Holly's mother, no matter what anyone says. What's wrong with showing that off?
Rachel quickly pulled out her phone and huddled up next to Holly.
Come on, let's take a mother-daughter reunion selfie. This will blow up on social media. The famous singer Holly, raised by her aunt after being taken from her mother, finally reunites with her real mom in a touching moment. And then, boom, I get famous too, and the money starts rolling in.
So that was it. Rachel wasn't here for Holly. She was here for her fame and wealth. Ever since we moved here, Holly had shown a natural talent for music. She was always singing whenever she had free time. At school, she amazed everyone by playing the organ and piano effortlessly, and one of the neighbors even gifted us a piano they no longer used. That's when Holly's talent truly blossomed. She started writing and composing her own songs, uploading videos online without showing her face. Her music took off instantly. She had remained anonymous for years, but after graduating college, she finally revealed her face. With her friendly smile and natural charm, her popularity skyrocketed. We always knew people with bad intentions would start showing up, but I never expected Rachel to be the first.
Holly, follow me back on social media. Let's become a famous mother-daughter duo and live a luxurious life together.
Rachel took multiple selfies with Holly, satisfied as she tapped away on her phone.
Everyone's gonna freak out when they see this. This is my big break as an online influencer. Oh, and your aunt's about to get dragged all over the internet too. An unmarried, childless woman who stole a daughter from her real mother.
Hey, how could you say that about Aunt Monica?
Holly, furious, tried to snatch Rachel's phone away, but Rachel just cackled.
It's already posted, so it's too late. Now, let's go, Holly. If you stay with her, your fans will turn against her once they know the truth. They'll demand that you be returned to your real mother. Maybe I should expose your aunt's face too?
Rachel was completely caught up in her own delusions, but in reality, posting that photo was going to backfire on her. Let's see who really gets dragged by the public. Holly, who had been trying to grab Rachel's phone, suddenly paused at my calm remark.
Oh, you're right.
What are you talking about? Trying to act tough? If Holly leaves, you'll have nothing left. You'll just rot away alone in this filthy countryside while I live the high life. I almost feel bad for you.
Rachel was still laughing uncontrollably. But Holly and I simply exchanged a glance and shrugged, completely unfazed. Rachel didn't like that.
Are you mocking me?
She snapped, stepping toward us.
Mom, actually, Aunt Monica and I are publishing a photo essay about my life story. She helped me with the writing.
Your life story.
Rachel froze, her expression going blank. The book comes out tomorrow, and she's written everything about how you refused to send her to school and treated her like a servant. Rachel's eyes widened in shock. But she still didn't seem to grasp just how terrible a mother she had been.
What? That's not true. I wasn't a bad mother. And now I just went and revealed myself on social media as your mother. What if people start harassing me? This is so unfair.
Her phone screen was already flooding with notifications. The post she had just made was gaining traction. Right now, the response might be positive, but tomorrow, when Holly's book is released. You brought this on yourself. You abandoned Holly and only came crawling back when it suited you. Now, you're flaunting yourself as her mother and posting pictures online without even thinking. I want to respect Holly's wishes, But I don't ever want someone like you calling herself her mother.
Same here. Aunt Monica is the one who raised me. You just gave birth to me. I will never go with you. And don't ever show your face here again.
Rachel barely seemed to be listening anymore, too distracted by her phone notifications. Rachel stomped her feet in frustration, glancing between her phone, which kept receiving notifications, and our angry faces.
This is such a pain. If I delete the pictures now, it'll just fuel the rumors even more. In that case, I have no choice. I'm taking Holly with me no matter what. Singers make a lot of money, right? I deserve to live it up with all that cash.
Completely panicked, Rachel grabbed Holly's arm again.
Stop it. Help me.
Holly screamed desperately, and her cries drew the attention of our neighbors, who began gathering around.
Who is it that abandoned me? You dumped me on Aunt Monica, got yourself a partner, and called me a burden because of my disability. And now you suddenly want me back just for money? Unbelievable.
Stop it, Holly.
Rachel, now visibly flustered by all the eyes on her, turned red and yelled at Holly. Seeing that, I decided to drive the final nail in. Oh wow, looks like you still have a habit of yelling at Holly when things don't go your way. There's no way I'd leave my precious niece with someone like you. Get lost already. And don't even think about coming near my house again. My raised voice made the gathered neighbors murmur among themselves. A mother who screams at her own child, Rachel could feel their judgmental stares and, on the verge of tears, spat out a typical villain's last words, "You'll regret this," before running away. Well, this is nothing compared to the backlash Rachel is going to face from the public soon.
Yeah, but that's not our problem. She brought it all on herself.
Holly and I laughed, thanking our neighbors before returning to tend to our beloved garden. Later on, we began to understand why Rachel had suddenly been so desperate to take Holly back. Apparently, she didn't get along with the man she married 15 years ago, and after years of fighting, they ended up getting divorced. Since Rachel hadn't worked at all during her marriage, she was now scrambling to find someone to support her. She wasn't just looking for Holly to take care of her. She had also been hoping to debut as a celebrity mother of a famous musician. But now, with her face plastered all over social media and Holly's photo essay out in the world, Rachel was nowhere near being a popular figure. Her former friends cut ties with her after learning what she had done to Holly and how she had tried to exploit her. Even walking through her neighborhood had become unbearable, with people whispering behind her back. On top of that, she had returned to working at a bar for the first time in 15 years, where she had earned herself the nickname the Wicked Witch, enduring the daily stress of having to laugh it off. If she had just kept quiet, she could have stayed anonymous as Holly's mother, but she brought this upon herself. And even though she's my sister, I don't feel the slightest bit of sorry for her. As for Holly and me, life continued just as peacefully as before Rachel's intrusion. Now that Holly had shared her past, she became an inspiration for people struggling with their own family issues or not fitting in at school, and her popularity only grew. Still, she preferred working from home, only traveling to New York when necessary, and rarely making media appearances. She even told me, "I just want to stay here and live a quiet life with Aunt Monica forever." Hearing that made me so happy. But as much as I loved having her here, I also wanted Holly to go wherever she wanted, to find whoever she wanted to share her life with, and to live freely. Of course, it would be lonely without her, but I needed to prepare myself for that day. Besides, I owe my peaceful life to Holly. Over the past 15 years, she has already given me more happiness than I could ever ask for. For now, though, she still wants to stay here, and there's no reason to rush her out. So, I'll continue to enjoy this simple, joyful life with my wonderful niece for as long as I can.